Oh, hello! My name is Mara, and welcome to Books Like Whoa. So we're doing a yay or nay review today, and I literally finished this book this morning before work, and I have not had time to process, but I just immediately was like, I have to have a specific video about this. I have to get people to read this so that we can talk about it. So we're doing a yay or nay review, and if you can't tell already, this is, spoilers, a big yay. But I wanted to do a review of Ayiti by Roxane Gay. Now this is a short story collection that was released, I believe, in 2011, but it is being re-released in June. I want to say maybe like the 23rd, 28th, somewhere in there, towards the end of June. And this book was so good. Okay, so Roxane Gay is amazing. Like, I've read this is the third book that I've read from her so far. This was my first fiction endeavor with her. And everything she writes, I love. Like, I think I need to just put her on my auto-buy list now. I mean, she kind of was already there for nonfiction, but just like generally, she's going on my auto-buy list. And I just love this. So, yay or nay reviews are meant to be very quick, so I'm going to try to keep this gush limited, and I'm sure I will also talk about this in my monthly wrap-up. But what I loved about this collection was so many things. One, it is paced so nicely. So there's a couple of longer stories in it. I want to say this book is about 150 pages. I have an e-copy of it, so I'm not totally sure. But it's a pretty short collection, but it's really nicely paced. There's like little like one-pagers, basically, like almost like vignettes that are sprinkled through, and then there'll be sort of like medium-length stories, and then there's, I think, about two that are like the longer stories in the book. And so I love the pacing of it. Like, I think as a collection, it works really nicely from that respect. As a collection, it works amazingly thematically. Like, there's so many through lines in terms of like colonialism and the Haitian American experience, and just like it's called Ayiti, and Ayiti is the Tenano, I think is how you say it, word for Haiti. So that's the native peoples, what they called the island of Haiti. And so the entire collection is about Haiti. So that is like clearly the thematic through line. But it's not just its own voices in the sense that Roxane Gay is a Haitian American, but she's not, I don't believe she was born in Haiti. I believe that her parents immigrated prior to her being born. I should have looked that up. But anyway, so it's sort of own voices and sort of not, I think. But the whole collection is about Haiti and just exploring like what life there is like versus life in America, and what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman in the context of Haitian society. There's so much exploration of sexuality, both in terms of like expression of sexuality, so like gay, straight, LGBT, all that kind of stuff. Like, there's explorations of that, but then there's also a lot of explorations of sexual violence and like sexuality gone wrong, which I think she handles with a lot of grace, and not surprisingly given her background and how she's written about that topic in nonfiction. But within the fictional context, I feel like she handles that really, really nicely. I also think that this is some of the best writing, like literary writing of sex I've seen. Like, there's quite a few sex scenes in this. If you are somebody who's triggered by explicit descriptions of sexual violence, if I'm remembering rightly, there's never really full descriptions of that, but there is a lot of descriptions of consensual sexual interaction. And if you are somebody looking for well-written sex scenes that are thematically, character-wise, and plot-wise important in terms of moving things forward, this is a wonderful example of that. Like, I can't speak from the male perspective, but I felt like this was some of the most resonant writing about sex that I've ever read in terms of like the female experience. So I felt like that was really great. Oh my gosh, just everything about this book was so good. And I loved that it was, to me, this is a real celebration of the short story form, because like I said, there's a lot of different kind of lengths. There's different types of short stories too, in terms of some of them really are just character studies versus some of them really do have some real like plot happening in them. And finally, the thing that I really loved about this as a piece of literary fiction is that it has a kind of hopefulness to it. And it's kind of bizarre to say that, because some dark shit happens in this book. There's a short story about what I believe was a real like massacre that happened in the 30s against Haitian people. So like an exploration of that. There is, like I said, a lot of sexual violence and like kidnapping stuff. There's like extreme poverty and explorations of like what it means to have or to have not. I mean, like there's some dark things in this book, but I felt like there's an undercurrent of hope to it. And even the stories, like all of these stories that have really dark things happening to them, pretty much all of them have some layer of hope to that. And I'm so glad that I had this experience with her in terms of this being my first fictional experience, because I've been very hesitant about her work because I knew it does address a lot of sexual violence, which can be a little triggering for me at times. And I wasn't sure how I was going to interact with that, but I either heard her say or read in one of her essay collections her talk about how she doesn't think of her fiction as being really grim and dark, that she sees it as being realistic and actually quite hopeful. And I understand what she's saying now, because something that can put me off literary fiction in general is when it is like, to be important, I've got to be really dark and really serious, and everything has to be really like, you know, dour and life is hard. I mean, that tone in literary fiction really bothers me, because I think part of realism is that the human species as a whole is incredibly hopeful, and despite what we do to each other and what happens to us just naturally and whatever, we keep moving forward. And I think that this is a voice that really understands that, and I think because she has experienced like some real dark shit, she gets that. And so yeah, I was so excited to see, to understand what she was getting at, that yes, there is some very dark content in her work, but I think it's ultimately coming from a place of like real hope and real like love of humanity. So anyway, I'm absolutely gushing about this book. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it was previously published in 2011 before she became so well known, and so I think it's Grove Atlantic is republishing it in June. I got this as an e-arc, and I'm going to buy the actual copy because I loved it so much. I cannot wait to read Difficult Women. I'm not sure if I'm going to read An Untamed State, which is the only novel that she's released to date, for two reasons. One, because it does deal with sexual violence like a lot, and I'm not sure if I want to really sit in that for an entire book. But second, one of the short stories in this I think must have been kind of the first pass at that story, because the plot is very similar, and I loved that short story. It was probably my favorite in this collection, that or the zombie one, I'm not sure. But anyway, I really loved that short story, so I think the novel would probably have a hard time stacking up favorably to that story. So anyway, all that to say, I really hope some of you guys will pick it up. I think this is probably my favorite thing I've read this year so far. Yeah, it is. This is a new favorite, and something that, one of my favorite short story collections I've ever read, and you guys know I love short stories. So something that I will reread, something that I think really will stick with me, and something that I just absolutely love. So anyway, this is getting a little long. I try to keep these short, so I will I'm sure mention this again in my wrap up, but I just wanted to get on here and like say, yay, go, you know, either see if you can get it already because it was published previously, or definitely look out for this one when it comes out towards the end of June. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Yeah, I hope you guys will pick this up because I really want to talk to people about it. But anyway, I think that will do it. I hope you're having a really great day. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. All that information is listed in the description box below, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!